So I wasn't picturing that I'd be doing another unboxing of this particular type of figure quite this early, or quite this soon, I should say. But it was kind of a special occasion. But before I can get to that, I need to do a little background information beforehand. So if you like to skip all the background information beforehand, go ahead and jump ahead to this time code, and that'll take you right where you need to go. So, back in the year 2020, Walt Disney Pictures announced they're going to be doing yet another live action adaptation of one of their classic 2D animated films. Why do they keep doing this? They don't need to do this. I mean, yeah, CGI and live action. And here's the problem with live action movies or live action adaptations is that that transition from 2D animated into either 3D or live action majority of the time it doesn't work for one reason or another. It usually doesn't work. But Disney is obsessed with doing live action remakes of all of their classic animated films. And I can't say that I agree with it. And I've seen, out of all of them, I think I've like actually seen one of them. And that was the first one. That was Maleficent. That was back in what, 2016, 2015, something along those lines. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I just, when you take your villain and attempt to rebrand them as a misunderstood hero, I'm like, why? This is the mistress of evil and all those things. It's like, why would you go through that trouble? Why would you even bother? So I wasn't impressed. Um, Now there was hope at the time. I had hope back when they were not obsessed with doing all of these live action remakes. I was like, oh my god, if they can actually pull this off, we might actually get live action before they became villains, the fall or witnessing the fall from grace of of many of their classic villains. Like that would have been an amazing thing to see. That's ultimately not what they ended up doing. It was just kind of, oh, we're going to tweak things to like fit, modern day audiences, and we're going to tweak things to like, we're going to change things just because we can change them, not necessarily because it'll be a positive reflection upon what was the original classic materials. That's the direction that Disney has since then gone in. So it's you can like the live action adaptations or not. It's entirely up to you. I'm not going to get in the way of that. But this particular one hit a little too close to home. In the year 2020, Walt Disney Pictures announced that they were going to do a live action adaptation of The Little Mermaid. Um, wow. Um, for the longest time, TLM fans have wanted to know, who would be cast as Ariel, who would play Ursula. How do you possibly find a woman, an actress, who not only has a decent set of pipes, but can absolutely shake things and you do the facial expressions and be that vengeful, dare I say, seductress. Well, I shouldn't really say that. That's reading more into it. But to be able to play that highly confident, strong, independent woman that Hollywood claims they really want these days. Like, who would do that? That has been a subject of debate for the longest time. Who would do it? Who would do it? Um, but anyways, yeah, TLM fans were just like, okay, we don't know why you're doing this, but like, okay, we'll see what you do. So the first bit of good news that came out of the announcement was that Rob Marshall was going to be directing live action TLM, what would ultimately become the year 2020. So TLM 23 is how I'm going to refer to it. Rob Marshall was going to be directing it. I almost jumped out of my seat and I was like, yes! Yes! You could not have chosen somebody better to do that. Yes! Because, because, for those of you who don't know, and I've not seen many of Rob Marshall's other movies before. I haven't seen many of them, and if I have, I'm completely unaware of it at this point. And I was aware of it back then. But there was one reason why I thought that this was an excellent choice. Was it a perfect choice? Maybe not, but I couldn't really think of anybody else who could successfully pull it off. But the reason why I was so excited about this is because Rob Marshall had directed Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Now, for the record, I've never been a fan of any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Yeah, I went on the ride one time back in 1994, which is actually the only time I've ever went on it, and they have since then. Obviously, it's been modified to conform to the movies and blah 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 blah. But as far as the four movies, I think four movies are considered. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them. I don't hate them. I just don't like them. Like I gave each one of their fair shots and whatever. But Pirates of the Caribbean 4, the reason why I attached to that one in particular is because it had mermaids in it. So I saw The Little Mermaid in theaters in 1989 when I was 7 years old. So I was right smack in the middle of the target demographic, okay? Yeah, I know TLM is marketed as a girls' movie, but screw you. I'm a boy. I've always been a boy. I always planned to be a boy, and I loved that movie, okay? I'm not even kidding when I say this. I had the VHS memorized line for line, frame for frame, almost lyric for lyric by the time I was 8 years old. Actually, yeah, after I was by the time I was 8 years old. I'm genuinely surprised. I actually have the VHS tape where we still have the VHS tape. We can't use it anymore, but we still have it, and I'm genuinely surprised that I didn't wear that thing out just watching it over and over and over. Anyways, Pirates of the Caribbean 4 had mermaids in it. And I was like, I didn't like Pirates of the Caribbean 4. Like, just, I mean, I already didn't like the first three. So, like, the fourth one with a brand new director, it was not, I'm going to screw up on the name. Well, whoever it is who directed the first three was not going to be directing the fourth one. So it was a brand new person, and it was Rob Marshall. And I don't care. I watched it like whatever. But the only reason why I remember it is because of the mermaids that were in it. And holy shit. I'm not going to go into this huge thing about why it is I love the hell out of it, but I loved how he did the mermaids in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. I loved it. Like, they were femme fatale, but they weren't, it wasn't horror, it wasn't gornography, it wasn't Monster of the Movie, even though technically they are. Um, they were beautiful, and they were intelligent. Um, they were also articulate in the way that they moved around. They were aggressive. That was one of the things I really liked them. These were classical mythological mermaids who they don't want to become human. They want to eat humans. The mermaids in Pirates of the Caribbean 4 are hunters. Are I'm sorry, are predators of men. That's what they are, okay? And if there just happens to be a human woman in range, yeah, they'll grab them too and whatever. But like, these are predators and they attack en masse, which is like, oh wow, you don't hear about that very often. So, long story short, I thoroughly enjoyed the mermaids in Pirates of the Caribbean 4. That was just absolutely incredible. And then I don't know who it was in the production of Pirates 4 who came up with this idea, but they gave the mermaids an ability that, like, you don't think about it until it's like right there in front of you, and then it's like, ah, yes, that's exactly what we need. They gave the mermaids in Pirates 4 these kinds of what I call sticky whips, where, and I don't quite know how to describe them. I don't think it was like a biological thing. It was like something that they manufactured, they built it themselves, and then they use it. It's some kind of sticky whip, like Spider-Man's web slingers, where they could actually throw a whip of some kind and it would attach to something, and then they could either pull down on it or they could use it to grapple, or I'm sorry, rappel and pull themselves up onto something. And I'm like, you know what? Mermaids have this thing is like the siren song, the siren's call, where they have to sing and that or speak pleasant things like, "Hey, come here, check this out." And then there's the expectation is the stupid sailors would jump off willingly. Well, on the off chance that the sailors decide to not willingly jump off, like their fellow cohorts, their fellow shipmates successfully hold them back, these particular mermaids in Pirates 4 can web sling and use these sticky whips to grab on and yank them into the water. My mind was fucking blown. I'm like, yes, that's perfect. And like I said, it's one of those things like it never occurs to you until it's presented in front of you. I've read about many, many, many different kinds of merfolk from across the world. I don't know every single one of them, and I don't know them in detail. But that being said, I've read about many of them, many different mythologies, many different cultures, things like that. I've never heard of these sticky whips before, okay? Mermaids are usually associated with magic, good omens, bad omens, wish fulfillments, signs of trouble, signs of good times, all kinds of things like that. But of the mermaids that have been described in mythology as aggressive or dangerous or like I said, predators of men, I've never heard of these sticky whips before. I've never heard of that where they like use a tool that is not biologically part of them to reach up and yank a sailor off of the dock or off the shore or off of the ship. I've never heard of that before. So whoever it was in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides who came up with that idea, you are a fucking genius. And you have my eternal thanks. That was absolutely incredible. So, and that left a really, really big impression upon me. So, when Rob Marshall was announced as the director of Disney's live action adaptation of The Little Mermaid, the first thing I said to myself was, yes! Yes! Absolutely! Because if he can do that with live action mermaids at PG 13, well then shit, he could do it easily with a G-rated live-action remake. I see no reason whatsoever. Yeah, I don't like Pirates of the Caribbean 4 or otherwise, but like that's not what I was cheering for. I'm cheering for like he successfully pulled off live-action mermaids, and he makes you like them. Like I can't believe it. Like he actually made them scary. He made them more than they're not just the monster of the movie, even though they are. But like I was fucking sold. The instant his name was announced, I was like, yes, this film is going to work. So initially in 2020, when this was announced, I thought it was a great idea. And then just a couple of weeks later, or maybe it was a couple of months later, I don't know. It was either late 2020 or early 2021, right smack in the middle of the pandemic that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube anymore. Um, the announcement came out about who was going to play Ariel. And all that enthusiasm and wonder, I was like, oh, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? What's he going to do? Sank. I was crushed. And I'm like, well, there goes that idea. Now, as I've said in previous videos, I do the best that I can to keep modern day politics, national American politics, and social whatever it is out of my channel. Okay, I don't discuss it, and I do the best that I can to keep away from that because you don't come to this channel to listen to that nonsense. Okay, you come here to see what kind of stuff I have sitting on my shelves. And by the way, please forgive me for uh, the or I should say the disorganized mess that's over here. I'm currently in the process of some refit and moving things around, so it's a little disjointed at this point. So please forgive the mess. Anyways, you don't come to me to learn about the latest happenings on in social media or on the national news or whatever. You don't come here for that. And that's by choice. I choose to not talk about that. So please forgive me when I just very, very briefly brush on the issue of the pop culture war. Now, if you look at my community page, link in the description, you will see that I post there more frequently and more openly the kind of things that I'm thinking about. If you have this one impression of, oh, Ava doesn't talk about these things, well, in my community page, you're going to see me open up a little bit more. You're going to see which side I'm taking and which side I'm going to do this. My channel is still not political, but you will see a little bit more of kind of where I stand on things. Okay, so I don't talk about national politics, but I do talk about pop culture and things of that nature. So you've been warned. But anyways, getting back to it, they announced who was going to play Ariel in live action, and my heart sank. I just, why would you do that? Why Disney? You're just going to f this up. You're just gonna f this up. You're sabotaging any and all efforts that you make. It doesn't matter how good this movie ultimately becomes. That one decision alone is going to kill all enthusiasm for this movie. That one right there. And that one announcement was, and this was after the announcement of Rob Marshall as director, okay? This was afterwards, okay? And the casting was announced, and they said that young Halle Bailey was going to be cast as Ariel. Now, for the record, I've never heard of Halle Bailey until she was announced as Ariel. I have no idea who she is. I have no idea what she's done previously. I have no idea and as of the making of this video, I know of like one movie she's going to be in, and that's only because I saw the trailer for it a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so whatever. But suffice it to say, it didn't matter who was cast in the role. And hopefully, for those of you who have skipped this first part, you won't hear this. But the fact, it didn't matter who it was, it didn't matter how, it's the fact that they cast a young black woman as Ariel. That decision alone killed the movie. Now, for the record, also for the record, I should say, I've been a Merphile for 26 plus years, okay? And I have seen dozens and dozens of Asians and Hispanics and blacks and I already said Hispanics and Mediterraneans and Filipinos, Filipino women. I've seen all of them dressed as Ariel, and they all look wonderful. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. But I also know the rest of the world does have a problem with it, and I also know the rest of the world is not as flexible as America is. So I was like, if you do this, you're going to kill your market. You're going to kill the audience. It's just, you're Disney, you're trying to make a statement with this, just this one casting call, just the one. You're attempting to make a statement, and it's going to crush this movie, okay? And that was back in 2021 when I was thinking that, okay? I was like, there's no way this is going to work. Now, the assumption going in was that, or I'm sorry, my assumption going in was that because of just this one casting decision, sight unseen, and again, it doesn't matter if it was Halle Bailey or any other woman, it's just the fact that they hired a black actress. That was the problem. That is just going to sabotage this movie, okay? And then on and just I assumed at the time in 2001, I assumed that because of just this one casting, there's this one decision, that the whole rest of the movie was going to be contaminated. For 3 years, well, okay, I'll say 2 years. For 2.5 years, I was prepping myself for war. As I told you earlier in this video, and I've said in another couple of other videos, Disney's Little Mermaid is a very, very important part of my life. So much so that, I've got the Funko figure of Ariel, okay? This is what matters to me, okay? And I said it before when I did the unboxing for this particular figure. I said Disney's 1989 adaptation of The Little Mermaid is a cornerstone of my life. Yeah, I may have seen it when I was 7 years old, but this is important to me. This is really, really important to me. You mess around with this, you're messing around with me. And I'm like, I'm not appreciating that at all. It's a little more complicated than that, but I'm not going to get into it in this video. Okay, but suffice it to say, when you mess with this particular formula, yeah, I'm going to start getting angry at that point, okay? It's more complicated than that. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty detail at this point. I'm trying to do a summary, okay? So I've spent the last 2-ish years, 2.5 years, something like that, preparing for war. Preparing to deny that this live action adaptation does not exist, preparing to fight against anybody who would say, you're just getting pissed off because you don't like black people or you don't like such and such scenario. I was preparing to fight tooth and nail, okay? Like this was going to be a hard fought thing because this was very important to me. I know that mermaids don't come up on my channel very often, but trust me when I say this, ladies and gentlemen, they are absolutely part of my life. I just don't talk about it on YouTube very often because, well, it's not really relevant to what I talk about. Why do I keep pointing at, what are you called? Heatwave Saber. Heatwave Saber. Sorry, I should be talking about the Lego Aston Martin DB5, or I should be talking about Zenkaijuo and Zenryoku Zenkaio sitting down there that you can Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. So, like, I don't talk about mermaids. It's not what my reputation on YouTube is built off of, whether on this channel or even 10, 11 years ago, 11 years ago when I was doing video reviews and such for collectiondx.com. I didn't build my reputation off that, but like this was personal when they did this. So I was preparing for war for 2.5 years. So in April 2023, the official novelization of live action Little Mermaid. I'm just going to call it TLM 23 because that's pretty much what it is. The live action, or I'm sorry, the official novelization of TLM 23 came out. I did not buy it, I did not read it, but I know a couple of TLM fans who did. And one of them in particular, I'm I've said this before as well. I don't do spoilers. I don't like spoilers. It's like I want to be surprised when I see that episode, when I see that movie, when I see that video game, when I read that book. I want to be surprised, okay? And there's I have a so the point is I avoid spoilers like the plague, okay? But this person who knew that I was not happy at all. They knew I was not happy with the way that the live action adaptation had been going up to that point. So keep in mind, for 2 years now, I've been battening down the hatches and gathering the weapons and making certain my armor's all nice and tightly fit and things like that. I've been preparing for war for 2 years at this point. But this one person that I know really well online, they started giving me little snippets from the official novelization. They'd already read it twice within like 2 days or something like that, which, by the way, that was impressive. Um, and they started slipping little tidbits here and there about the movie. Now I know that official novelizations of movies, there could be some discrepancies, there could be some slight inaccuracies or whatever it is, and there could also be something that happened in the movie itself doesn't happen in the novel, or it might have happened in a slightly different way, or the wording might be different because the script changes or schedules change or blah blah blah. So as this person was slipping me these words, they weren't reading straight from the book, but or the novel, but they were slipping these things to me. I'm like, hmm, that's actually pretty smart. Wait, he did what? Oh, that's interesting. What? They started slipping me these little tidbits. Now, yeah, there were some spoilers in there. Um, but the more I was hearing, I was like, this is too smart. This is too good to be what I thought it was going to be for 2 years. Remember, my preparations for that 2 year period, my depression, my anxiety about live action TLM 23 was based upon that casting decision. Just that one casting decision, okay? For 2 years, I've been thinking this. And also seeing how the Walt Disney Company has been screwing up in a whole bunch of other ways outside of TLM 23. They've been screwing this up and they've been screwing that up, and I've been really, really not happy at all with the direction the Walt Disney Company has gone in the last 6.5 years as of recording. I'm just not happy at all with what they've been doing. I'm actually quite angry, but I'm not. But again, I'm not going to get into the details in this video. So, but the reason I bring that up is like, as this person is slipping these little spoilers and little tidbits from the novel to me, I'm like, this is too smart. This is too this is too intelligent. This is like, that makes sense. That takes care of that plot hole. That takes care of that inconsistency. I'm like, this novel is being written by somebody who not only like knew the 1989 movie really well. I mean, like really well, to be able to like repeat it word for word, lyric for lyric, like myself. Well, like I did 34 or 33 years ago. But the way that the live action novel is being written, and the way that the lines of dialogue and stuff are being read out, I'm like, this bullshit that I've been preparing myself for 2.5 years at this point, all of a sudden that anxiety and that fear and all that stuff is starting to get washed away. I'm like, wow, that actually sounds like a good movie. Like, yeah, Ariel was supposed to do that back in 1989. She didn't, but she's supposed to do that back in '89. I'm like, wow, someone actually knows what they're doing. Somebody's actually respecting the material. They're respecting not only what came before, but they're also recognizing the flaws and the inconsistencies and the plot holes and all kinds of things like that, which TLM fans are aware of, but the vast majority of the world is not aware of. Or if they are aware of it, it doesn't really bother them all that much. And also, it's been 34 years, so people aren't looking at it as closely now as they were 34 years ago, as of recording. So, like, whoever wrote this movie, not the novel, but whoever wrote this movie, they know what they're doing. They're filling in gaps. And they're not just like pretending that this doesn't happen or pretending that that didn't happen or that did happen, but like they're actually making a lot of sense. Over the course of May 2023, for about a 3 week period. Did I say April earlier? I think I said April earlier. I apologize. So in early May, when the novelization came out, just in time for Mermaid #Mermaid 2023, I should point out. Um, this trusted friend is slipping these things to me, a little bit here, a little bit there, because they know how anxious I am. They know how depressed I was, how upset I was about this. They knew, and so as they're slipping these things to me over the course of like a 3 week period, I'm like, are my presumptions wrong? All these things I've heard about from the mainstream media about you should pay attention to this and you should pay attention to that and you should and anybody who says this is a such and such and a that and a that, which sounds like the same song and dance, but what's coming out of this novel specifically is too smart. Something's not adding up. For 3 weeks, I was really puzzled about what I was hearing from this person who's reading the novel and they were liking it more and more. And eventually it got to the point where, like, okay, Ava, if this movie comes out, despite whatever else has been happening outside of TLM 23, if this particular movie is as smart as the novel implies that it is, Ava, are you going to go watch this movie? It took me 3 weeks to come up with an answer. Well, May 26th, 2023 came along, and this trusted friend who had read the novel multiple times at this point, and who I'd been having multiple conversations with over the course of that 3 week period, they went to the theater on opening day, and they saw the movie not once, but twice. Kudos to that friend. And they came back very tired, very sore backside because they'd been sitting in the theater and they'd also been crying in the bathroom. They said that they'd cried in the bathroom between the movies or between the screenings. And I spent 3 hours. I spent 3 hours that very night, May 26th. I believe it's May 26th, 2023. I spent 3 hours talking to this person. It actually got to the point where early in the conversation, I know men are not supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it. Early in the conversation, early in that 3.5 hour conversation, whatever it was, on opening day, what this person said to me and what I was sharing with them about what I anticipated was going to happen with this movie. Men are not allowed to say this, but I cried. I cried in front of this person. I was just I was heartbroken because my frustrations, my anxieties, just the constant pop culture war that never ever seems to get a break. I cried because it wore away at me. And it wasn't about TLM 23 that I was crying about. It was just the pressure and the misunderstandings and I cried. I know grown men are not supposed to say that, but I will. I cried. And over the course of this 3.5 hour conversation, they told me things that reinforced what they had said about the novel, about those little spoilers and things like that. They said what was in the novel was, to their understanding, 100% accurate. Now, granted, I have not, as of recording, I have not read the novel yet, okay? And I probably won't. I don't need to. But suffice it to say, by the end of that 3 hour conversation on opening day, I am not exaggerating when I say I had a 100% complete and total 180-degree turnaround on my opinion of Disney's live action adaptation of The Little Mermaid. I had a complete and total turnaround. I went from this movie is going to be awful and I want nothing to do with it to I don't just want to see this movie, but I need to see this movie. And I'm going to see it in the theater. And I did. Here's my ticket. Let's see. There's my ticket right there. I went to see The Little Mermaid in the theater about 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago. I did it right there. I'm a man of my word. And I put my money where my mouth is. Walt Disney Pictures, you got a ticket out of me. And by the way, in all honesty, yeah, I do kind of regret that I didn't see it in 3D. I think it would have been pretty amazing to see it in 3D. So yeah, the 3D in theater. The first and thus far only movie I've ever seen in 3D. Well, no, that's not true. Yeah, that's true. Was many years ago, and okay, whatever. But I should have watched that in 3D. I actually regret that. I have seen Disney's live action TLM. I'd been preparing for war for, at that point, 3 years, almost 3 years. And on the day it came out, my mind was changed. My concerns, my fears, my anxieties, my my worries, my preconceptions, my prejudices. I have them. I don't talk about them, but I do have them. All of that was wiped clean on the day. I couldn't believe it. I just, even now, I can't tell you how much that hurt. That all these things outside of the movie, other Hollywood studios, just what Disney has been doing for the last 6.5 years, I cannot tell you how, and I use this word specifically, burned I have been. I've been burned over and over and over and over and over for 6.5 years, almost 7 years at this point. But this one, that was an important one. This one, I was expecting to take a hit for this one. I was expecting to be burned by this one. But now that I've actually seen it with my own eyes, it actually is a good movie. I can't tell you how I felt in the opening minutes of the movie where Alan Menken's theme for "Part of Your World" was playing, and it's in it, not in the reprise, but it's playing during the opening title card. Oh my god! I almost I know guys are not supposed to be emotional about this. I almost cried. And so I think I actually like I heard that theme. I'm like, oh my god, yes, this this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I needed. The magic had come back, and that's not easy to say because I've been a fan of 2D 1989 movie for 34 years. That's a pretty fucking high bar to meet up to, okay? That's a pretty fucking high standard to reach up to. It's been cornerstone to my life. And I felt it. I felt it in the theater. I can only tell you it was like when I heard uh and I actually have this or no I don't have the um and I'll put a link in the description to the specific song that or the specific track I'm thinking of. People ask me what's my ASMR trigger. Listening to that song, listening to certain kinds of music, and the warm fuzzies that come with it. That is my warm fuzzy. That is my ASMR trigger. When I heard that track, link down in the description. When I heard that, I was almost shaking in my seat. Like, oh my god, I can feel it. Like just, it's like seeing a friend that you haven't seen for many, many years. You might have heard from them once in a while and talked to them once in a while, but like to actually be in person with them. And you see each other, and it's just, you want to give them a big hug. Like, that's what I felt when I was in the theater 2.5 weeks ago. Like, it was incredible. It was, it was absolutely incredible. So, very briefly, I've taken a very long time to get to this point. What did I think of the movie? I'm going to be very brief. Now, I've already posted a description in the comment, or I'm sorry, the community page, and I will link that, or yeah, I'll link that specifically down in the description as well, so that you can see what my morning after opinion of live action TLM is like. Very very briefly, I did not agree with every. I mean, it would be impossible for me to agree with everything that was done in that movie. It would be impossible for me to agree with everything. But suffice it to say, yes, there were a number of things that I disagreed with. Um, but there were also a lot of things I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to think about that. And then there were also a couple of things like, oh wow, they actually did that. That's wow. Okay. So overall, and not for any one specific reason, I have given, I'm sorry, also after only seeing it one time, I've only seen it one time. And that's nowhere near enough time to like memorize lines of dialogue or memorize lyrics. I haven't gone there yet. I'm actually I have been working on the lyrics. The last 2.5 weeks now, I've been playing the two new songs, or two of the three new songs. They're both really good. I really enjoy those new vocal songs, the songs. Um, and also listening to the soundtrack and rewatching a couple of scenes that are officially released on YouTube and other places. So I have been keeping track of it, and I've been kind of keeping that fresh in my mind. So I will just broadly say, after only one screening 2.5 weeks ago with no memorization whatsoever, okay, I haven't done that yet. Okay, that's incoming, but it hasn't happened as of recording. I would say that Disney's live action TLM is, I'd say it's about a 3 out of 5 stars because there's a couple of decisions they made that I don't entirely agree with. There's a couple of things I was like, what the hell were you thinking when you did that? There's a couple of occasions with like some performances that I like. no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. There's a couple of pacing issues. I remember there were. I don't remember when I did it, but there were a couple occasions when I was in the theater. I was in the theater. And I'm like, mm-mm, mm-mm. No, no, that's not. No, that's the timing's too quick, or like there were. It's kind of a scattering effect of like little nitpicks here and there, building up to the point where I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. So, but I will say that overall, yes, I enjoyed the movie. But I will say, I think I'll tie it up here because I've spent plenty of time on it. But I will say that I will agree with the majority of the world that live action TLM was not necessary. You didn't need to do that. Um, yes, the '89 movie still stands very well on its own, but there were enough decisions in this one to like, is 2023 going to replace 1989? No, no, it's not. That's not possible. Um, will TLM 23 become a cult classic? Well, as of recording, the live action Little Mermaid is officially a box office bomb. The world has rejected this movie. Now, I have my own opinions on why that is. I'm not going to get into it here, but suffice it to say, my opinion of live action TLM, I have found that my opinions actually differ somewhat from the rest of the world. I think this is going to be one of those occasions where I'm deliberately swimming against the current, even though I know I'm not going to succeed. So, like, my opinion here and kind of elsewhere isn't going to make any difference to the box office. It's not going to work. This movie is going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, hundreds of millions. The minimum they would have to make would be, I think, like 750, $800 million. It's currently, as of recording, it is struggling to reach 500 million. Okay, so the world has flatly rejected this movie. The world has said this movie doesn't work. Now, it has not said that it is a disgusting movie. It has not said that it is an awful movie. It has just said, why did you need to make this? And why did you make that decision? And why did you do that? The world has rejected live action TLM. And very quickly, from my perspective, that yeah, it doesn't reflect upon me, but it is taking a shot at something that I have treasured for 34 years. I've treasured this for a very long time. So technically it's taking a shot at me, but also technically it's not taking a shot at me. So like the best I can do right now is just kind of sit back and watch as live action TLM just crashes and burns at the box office. Um, Unlike its 1989 counterpart, is TLM 23 going to recover in streaming or whatever it is? I doubt it. I doubt it's not going to work. So this is going to be a movie that I embrace, that I choose to embrace, and that I do enjoy. But I have to swallow my pride and say, yeah, the rest of the world, excuse me, the rest of the world has rejected it. That's that's just the situation I find myself in. So, so yeah, here I am, defending a movie that just 2 weeks ago, or I'm sorry, just 1 month ago, I was prepared to reject and deny even existed. What a bizarre situation I found myself in. Very, very bizarre. So right now I find myself in something of an unenviable position where it's like, on the one hand, I really, really don't like what the Walt Disney Company has been doing, but on the other hand, I'm kind of stuck with this guilty pleasure of TLM 23. I want to support that, but I don't want to support this monster over here that's just been doing stupid after WTF, I really, really don't want to do that. So I'm kind of stuck. And on top of which, that's not even talking about anybody that I do talk to about the movie who hasn't seen it or has maybe heard what the media has said or has heard what kind of general opinions are. It's a very, like I said, it's a very unenviable position that I find myself in. This is not really something that it's very strange. I'm pleased that I saw the movie, and I want to support the movie itself. And again, the ticket that I got, but the ticket alone is not enough to me. Like, this is actually a scenario where the Walt Disney Company, in my opinion, did the right thing. They produced a good movie, in my opinion, and I want to support it in some way aside from just a ticket. I want to do more for it, you know? Which ultimately leads us to this point of the video where I actually get to the actual unboxing part that I've spent, God, almost an hour at this point building up to. For those of you who skipped ahead, you missed one heck of an emotional roller coaster. You were lucky you didn't have to go through the emotional roller coaster of the last 2.5 years. I'm just fucking saying. But yeah, time to get to that. So I want to financially support the movie in kind of any way I can. But here's the catch. Um, I don't collect dolls. I don't collect. You know, it's kind of weird. For like decades, I've been wanting the Walt Disney Company to produce T-shirts for men that have Ariel or Ursula on it. You know, I've wanted them to do that, but they've never made any. It's always just for women only. I want them to. I want to produce shirts. I want to produce hats. I want something that I can, proudly carry around with me. But there just isn't anything out there. So it's mostly dolls and maybe a couple of like app games or whatever it is, which whatever. But I want to do more. I want to contribute a bit more, and thus we come to this. Finally, this is me putting my money where my mouth is. Not just that movie ticket, but doing a little bit more. Now, obviously, I'm going to be watching the movie on a. I'll be sailing the high seas in order to watch the movie over and over. Maybe I'll get a download of it. I'm not entirely certain. I'm not going to be supporting Disney Plus. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not. So, but anyways, this is a way in which I will be financially supporting TLM specifically. Now, as I said at the beginning of this particular video, I said, I wasn't expecting to make another one of these so soon. I wasn't anticipating. Well, the reason for that is because I've picked up a couple more Funko Pop figures. I haven't collected anymore since the last time I told you anything about it, which was actually it was Charmander and the Dino Ultrazord. Those are the last Funko Pops I got, and I got those 2-3 years ago at this point. Might have been last year, year before, something along those lines. I can't even remember. It's like, again, just for those of you who don't know, I don't collect Funko Pops. I only have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only have 6 Funko Pops ever, and that's it. But today, or rather over the course of the last 2 days, I'm going to be adding a couple more. In this particular case, the Pop Deluxe version of Ariel and her friends from the 2023 Super Sentai series. What is wrong with you? Disney's live action. Oh man, okay, that's called Force a Habit right there. Disney's live action adaptation of The Little Mermaid. There you go, right there. Ariel and her friends. Actually, I'll just do that right now. So I actually did try to get a TLM 23 version of like something like this where it's just Ariel as a mermaid by herself. But as I understand it, Funko never made one. This is literally the only version of TLM 23 Ariel as a mermaid. This is the only version. So like, okay, all right, whatever. As far as my opinion of what she's dressed like as a human, I'm not going to get into that here. I did forget to mention earlier, during the earlier description that I just tore the box. Damn, that hurts. Oh god, it's a sign. I will say that because I've not memorized TLM 23 yet, I mean I haven't done any of that, and also my memories from when I saw it in the theater are not that fresh. Actually, I mean it's been almost 2 weeks at this point. For those of you who don't know, it's been but the other thing is like I had so much emotion going through me and like the analysis and things like that like I don't remember all those little details from TLM 23. So like what's going to end up happening, I'm sorry, quick aside here, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to make an audio recording of my opinion of TLM 23 when it becomes digitally available in its entirety. I'm going to be I will make a recording at that point, so it won't be a raw emotional. This is the first time I've ever seen it recording, but it will be a recording of okay, this is what I'm thinking at this point. This is what I'm thinking at that point. So please do look forward to that. Can't believe I tore the box. I'm gonna have to tape that. And yes, for the record, I do have a tendency to keep the boxes. You guys, you don't entirely know what I do, but yes. Scuttle, why do you have a little thing attached to your head? What? I don't know. Technically, only the second. Wow, I love the water effect they have here. That's nice. Technically, only the second Funko Pop Deluxe figure I've ever gotten. So we've got Ariel with her pink fins, by the way. Very pink. There's a little bit of blue in there as well. It's painted on. And then we've got obviously the new versions of, oops, wrong way. The new versions of Flounder, Sebastian, and Scuttle, which I think is appropriate. This base feels weird. You gotta love Funko in the way they put in those little details. So, actress Halle Bailey, she's got a little birthmark or something sitting right up here, and they included there's a little brown dot right here just above her left eyebrow. That's cute. That's funny. You'd think they'd get rid of that, but no, they kept it. Which is kind of weird because Ursula the Sea Witch, the '89 version of Ursula, she's got a little birthmark on her chin. So yeah, or she's got like a mole on her jawline or whatever it is. So it's appropriate they did that. So I'm not going to go into great detail about what I think about the individual characters, whatever it is. I'm just going to talk about the figure here, and that's it. But her chin, or I should say, her cheek is right up against Scuttle's right eyeball. That's strange. Can you turn your head? Most Funkos you can turn the head, but I don't think so. Sorry, I'm gonna blind you a little bit just so you can pick up the details of her hair. Quite detailed. Oh, that molding detail, I'm impressed. How did they get that on there? I'm looking for the seam lines in her hair. It's like, how did they? I'll be genuinely surprised if they like molded her head in like a single piece. I think they did. Wow, that's actually impressive. I like that. Her entire head, hair and all, has been molded as a single piece. Wow, that's impressive. Her tube top has a paint application just on the top line there for the little fin ridge or whatever it is on the top. So there's a little bit of paint netted in there. The new pink that's on her tail and her fins and also on her tube top, um, much more prominent here. It's not quite as subtle as it is in the movie itself. But they did absolutely give her the mass of like streamers and like a half dozen flukes or something like in there, which is actually one of the details that I actually don't like about TLM about live action Ariel's design. I don't like how busy her tail is. I think they should have kept it on the simpler side. And there are other mermaids in the movie that do have a simpler fin, simpler flukes or whatever. But Aries, for whatever reason, it's got all these extra streamers and stuff. I'm like, I don't like that. So it's a bit chaotic in there. Let's see, I'm trying to get you a good angle, and it's very fuzzy. I apologize. I really should replace this camera at some point. So anyways, that. Oh, made in China. Why not? I really like the base design here. This is very nice. The rocks. I don't know how well it's coming across on the camera, but it looks pretty well. I will say though, Sebastian, he kind of disappears under her hair. Um, I almost wonder if he shouldn't have been, If he shouldn't have been moved to like, let's see, where am I pointing? This little rock right here. I think he should have been moved over here instead. He does. Gosh, I would almost say he's the same color as Ariel's hair. That's a strange choice, Funko. He's very much. Now they painted his eyes. You know the typical Funko signature circular eyes, and that's it. They don't have they don't have irises or anything. Um, but like that's all well and good. But they did take the time to paint his claws so that they're lighter shade. Actually, I'll just show you. So you can see Sorry, Sebastian sitting right there. But I'm sorry, he's going to be in shadow the whole time. So he is like his claws are painted and his eyes are painted, but then the rest is molded in the same color as Ariel's hair, and that's not correct. He should not be like bright red like 89 cartoon version, but he should be a, a more obvious shade of red. I think it was a case of molded in the same color of plastic, and like that actually shows they should not have done that. So I suppose they put so much detail onto her flukes, her tube top, and then blending it. Like for example, if you look at just the water, I'm sorry, if you look at the water effects, that's done really well. I do like the water effect. They actually took the time to kind of frost it around the edges here. That's nice. I do like it. But that being said, maybe it was a case of like they don't want to put any more money into making a different color of red for like the molding or whatever it is for Sebastian. So wait, did they glue him? How did they do that? Anyways, wait, he's got 8 legs. Do crabs have 8 or 6 legs? Well, man, maybe some have 6 and some have 8. I don't know. So yeah, anyways, okay, so that's one thing I don't like is that Sebastian. You can kind of see right here. He just kind of disappears. If I wasn't pointing it out, you probably wouldn't even see it. So like that's a problem. I mean, obviously I can live with it, but still. And there's there's Nightmare Ghostfish Flounder. Poor guy. It's kind of weird. I like. Ideally, I wanted to get just live action TLM Ariel just by herself. That's what I wanted to do. But as far as I'm aware, this is the only way you can get her in a mermaid form. So like, okay, right, I've got to have the weirdly poorly redesigned live action animal. Well, I say live action animals. So, which I didn't want, but oh well. I think it's appropriate though. I think it's appropriate even if I don't ultimately like what's here. So, oh, they even painted the fin that runs down her butt. That's also pink. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to show it, but there we go. You can kind of see it right. Let's see, right there. There's a little. Why is my camera? Okay, let's see. There you can see it right there. Sorry, there's a little bit of pink right there. So they actually took the time to paint the dorsal fin that runs across her butt. So if that's the case. I wonder what it means when she sits on her own fin. Urgh. Flounder and Scuttle are they've got little details like the feathers on the back of Scuttle's head. Those are nice and detailed as well. The fins, the dorsal fin on Flounder, that's also done fairly well. So not bad, not bad. I like it. The I think the majority of the figure is or no, I think Ariel's head is PVC. That's no surprise. Scuttle is no, that's ABS. How do they get you in there, Scuttle? Looks like each leg. Looks like the legs are molded as part of the base, and then there's like each leg has a post that sticks up or a peg that sticks up, and then the rest of the body goes down on it. Which Flounder is a single piece. Scuttle or Sebastian might be multiple pieces. I'm not sure. Nice. I don't know if you could really do the rock base any differently than this. I don't know. I like it. I like it. This works. That's appropriate. I like this. This works for me. Now, obviously, I've got this version of Ariel, but this is the only, I'll say, protagonistic character from TLM 89 that I have. Obviously, I've got the 10.5 inch Queen Ursula, where she's a giant, and then I've got a regular version that's Ursula with Flotsam and Jetsam on her arms. And that was it. Just those three figures, and that was it. But this time I'm actually going to add on a character that previously I was not entirely thrilled with, and that would be Prince Eric. Um, a character that yeah, he exists and whatever, and I'm not gonna get into character bashing 89 Eric. I'm not gonna do that. But suffice it to say, it's like okay, yeah, he exists, and that's all well and good. But the reason I got this figure specifically is because this is arguably my favorite character from TLM 23. Arguably. I mean, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously I could say Ariel. That's fine. That's all well and good. But I'll say that Prince Eric left a better impression on me than any other character. You know, more so than Triton, more so than Ursula, more so than any of the talking animals. Um, I kind of wish that there was a kind of wish that there was a what can I call it? I wish there was a Funko Pop of Sir Grimsby. I think that'd be kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I kind of have my fill of Funko Pop figures from '89. Like, yeah, I might get a Flounder and a Sebastian, maybe a Scuttle. I don't know, but that'd be kind of it. But an Eric, nah, not feeling that. But like in this particular case, I was actually impressed with his character. I actually did like um, how they changed Prince Eric for 2023. And so when I saw this figure, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get this. What's he holding? And he's just holding his hands. Okay. Actually, I kind of like it. He's kind of he's holding his hands like he's anxious about things. Like it's like he's uncertain or something like that, which makes sense. Oh, his hair's not black. Nice touch. I just realized that his hair's not black. Does his head turn? Or yeah, it does. Yeah, so you can turn his head if you want. So yeah, I've got weirdly enough, like I won't get the '89 version of Eric to pair up with Ariel, but we'll get the 2023 version and pair them up. So somehow this has happened. I don't know why, but it is. So yeah. Hmm. Nice coat. Yeah, I'll just say very briefly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, I enjoy Ariel in 2020, but I was really impressed with how they how they changed his. Well, they didn't change. They enhanced his character. They added things to Prince Eric's character that the '89 version was very much missing. There's Prince Eric is one of those Disney characters that people don't look on him very fondly, or I mean, they do kind of, but like people acknowledge like he's a shallow character. He doesn't have much to offer. He comes across as a little. I hesitate to say stupid, but he comes across as not seeing what's blindly obvious right in front of him. Well, in 2023, there's a reason why he's not, seeing Ariel for what she is, and he's kind of not taking her seriously, and he's not taking his responsibility seriously. They vastly expanded his character in 2023. So like, yeah, that kind of justifies me getting this particular character. So yeah, yeah, I can live with that. And just like with any other TLM 23 design, he's not just his outfit is not a carbon copy of the original character. His jacket is different, his boots are different, his pants are different, his shirt is different. So all of it is different. Even his hairstyle is different as well. So, but yeah, not bad. Not much else to say at this point. So, um, there I go. Um, Me putting my money where my mouth is. Um, because TLM 23 has done so badly at the box office, it's highly unlikely that much other merchandise is going to come out. So it's probably going to be up to fan art at this point to kind of cover that gap, and I'll absolutely be looking forward to that. But yeah, I said this turned out well. This is a good purchase. This right here is about $50, which makes sense because this is a deluxe figure. This is a larger figure. It's more detailed, more paint applications. So you're looking at about $30 MSRP here, and then this is kind of the standard 12 or 13, or 12 to 15. I think I'll have to look at the receipt again. But yeah, overall, not a bad combination, not at all. Am I going to be getting? They only have like I think it's like 6 or 7 Funko Pops, period, of anything from TLM 23. Am I going to be getting any of those others? Probably not. This is probably as far as I'm going to be going because, again, I don't collect Funko Pops, so that's not going to be happening. But I'm fairly satisfied with what's here. So, yeah, that's going to be the extent of it for me. Okay. Please do look forward to that commentary that I make of TLM 23 when it finally hits the internet in a quality that you can actually hear and see properly. Please look forward to my commentary on that in the coming months, because obviously it's not going to come out right now. It's going to come out a couple of months after this recording has been made. So please do look forward to that. And yes, I am well aware that I promised a couple of months ago that I was going to finish off my unboxings from Resha Sente Tokyo, but this issue got in the way, and that excuse, and blah, 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 blah. So, yes, I am aware of it. I just haven't gotten to it. So, please be patient with that. And so, but do keep bugging me about it. Do please keep bugging me about it, because the more you guys talk about it, the more it's like, yeah, okay, there are people out there who actually want to see my stuff still. So please do keep bugging me on that. And so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you very much for tuning in.